Are you looking for more information about Kelly Ranch in Aledo, Texas? Well, look no further because today we're doing a deep dive into all things Kelly Ranch. My name's Jared with Living in Aledo, and my goal is to give you all the information you need in one place if you're considering moving to the Aledo area. So today we're going to be talking about Kelly Ranch. We're going to talk about the price points, the amenities, the schools, the location, and really a giant overview of everything you need to know. So if this is your first time on the channel and you are considering moving to the Aledo area, hit that subscribe button. And if you are already kind of well on your way to that potential move, you have a deadline or a trip scheduled, or you have a job offer and you have a trip coming, go ahead and reach out. Let me know when that is. Let's talk. Let's get some time on the schedule. I'd love to make sure that I have time available to help you find that perfect home for your transition to the Aledo area. With that being said, let's jump into Kelly Ranch. Okay, well, let's do a quick overview of just what Kelly Ranch is and where it is, and then we're going to dive into all the details that you're here to find out. So Kelly Ranch is going to be a master plan sized community. It is over 1,500 acres off of 377 in Kelly Road. It's going to be immediately next door to Bluejack Ranch. It's actually an interesting genesis in kind of how Kelly Ranch came to be. Originally, there was supposed to be one enormous community with a golf course, and that was going to be Avanzada, and that did not work out. So now there's going to be the Kelly Ranch neighborhoods, and there's going to be Bluejack Ranch next to it, and it will have its own community, its own homes that it sells, and it's totally separate. But Kelly Ranch will be immediately next door to Bluejack Ranch, again, off Kelly Road and 377. It's going to have about 2,000 homes at completion. It's going to have lots of amenities, many different lot sizes. So on the smallest end of the spectrum, you're looking at about 0.16 acres. And then in the custom area or the more luxury level section, you're going to have lots that are an acre or more. And so what does that look like? So Kelly Ranch is a large community with 3 distinct neighborhoods in it. You've got Sierra Vista, Rio Vista, and Dorada, which we're going to jump into in a second. But it's also going to have this really cool neighborhood feel. I think it's going to feel a little bit like a blend of Walsh and Morningstar with maybe some additional twists, right? So you do actually have Klein Park in Walsh. That might kind of be a similar equivalent to La Dorada. But the goal is for this to be a very family-oriented, family-friendly with the amenities and the style and the build-out and all that stuff. And it's going to be it's going to be a master plan style community, potentially with its own elementary school, which we will discuss further in the video, so stick around for that. And so if you are looking for neighborhoods like this and you haven't already done it, hit that subscribe button and let's continue with a deep dive into Kelly Ranch. Okay, now let's do a little bit of a deep dive into the different sections and what to expect in each of those. So again, you have Sierra Vista, Rio Vista, La Dorada, and in that order is about the expected price ranges that you're going to expect. So Sierra Vista, right now, early stages of the neighborhood. And this is one of the benefits of buying early in a development like this is you see all those advertisements that say starting in the 300s, right? That's from the very beginning. And that might be 397. But right now you could buy homes in Sierra Vista, or the idea is for those to be in the beginning points of the mid 300s. So 350s or 375s, maybe. And this is the non-gated section. So it's going to be the most affordable section, most similar to Morningstar, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And you're going to have smaller homes, smaller lot sizes. Everything about that price point is going to make sense. So homes starting at maybe 1,800 square feet and up, homes on very small lots, 0.16 acres maybe. So pretty small lots, smaller homes, and significantly more affordable. And the Sierra Vista is not gated. So you still get access to all the amenities, which we'll talk more about in a moment, but that's gonna be the most affordable price point. Next up, the mid-tier range of Kelly Ranch is gonna be Rio Vista. Now, first important thing to note is this section is gated. That's gonna be one of the most unique things about this price point is you're gonna be in a gated community. You're gonna have the most options of builders, which again, we'll talk about in a minute. And you're gonna be the starting point, this is where it gets a little vague, probably the mid 500s is gonna be the lowest you're gonna be at, but the range could go up to 700 plus, even $1 million. There's an M the Builder home that I've had clients look at that I think it's going to sell for about $1 million plus or minus. So you're going to have kind of a good range of values that I think are going to be very kind of similar to the biggest chunk of Walsh. And you're going to have slightly larger homes and slightly larger lots. So you're looking at, 2,500 on the low end up to maybe 3,400 square feet. You're not going to get too crazy big because of the next section of the neighborhood we're going to be looking at, but your lots are also going to be a little bit larger. So probably somewhere on the 0.2 up to maybe 0.4, probably no bigger than that. I would expect the majority of the lots to be on the smaller end, 0.2, 0.25, which is still a decent sized lot for new construction homes in the Aledo area. So those are the first two. Those are going to be the most, common that most people are looking at. Now you get La Dorada, which is going to be an interesting product that they're offering, because they're going to call some of these like estate lots or these like custom home sites. These are mostly going to be custom homes. So the actual price range that these end up in are really vague right now. Right now they're saying the expected home price range is 1.2 up to 2+ million. And so that might seem kind of high, but I think you could be there, right? It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, because this is going to be gated. This is going to be a luxury neighborhood. These lots are going to be over half an acre. So that says, from the information, it's like 0.6 up to a little over 1 acre with municipal utilities, right? So that's going to be something to note. And we'll talk about the pros and cons in a different video. If you are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe if you want to know the pros and cons of Kelly Ranch, because we'll talk about taxes and all that other stuff, right? But you're going to have a pretty large lot that you don't have a well and a septic on. So you're going to have municipal utilities on a really large lot for a neighborhood like this, and on a larger home. I think those homes are going to be 3,500 square feet plus. So there might be some builders that build over there or buy a lot and build, but there's going to be a lot of custom homes or semi-custom homes over there. So Sierra Vista, which is going to be more entry-level price point homes, thinks more like Morningstar. Then you have Rio Vista, which is going to be more like Walsh Ranch in the variety, price points, expectations, stuff like that. Then you've got La Dorada, which is going to be the more custom end, also gated, higher end, maybe up to and over $2 million. So those are going to be the three neighborhoods. We're going to talk about amenities coming up next and what's included in those neighborhoods. Okay, so now that we've talked about price and the different sections, let's jump into and cover the amenities that the HOA is providing. And now I did confirm, because I was a little bit concerned with the different price points, that maybe the HOA amenities might vary per section. And currently that is not the plan. The HOA should be set across the board for everybody, and everybody gets the same perks. So there's going to be a almost 20,000 square foot like amenity center that's going to be called the Lookout. That's where you're going to have the pools, the spa, the cafe. You're going to have the fitness courts, the sports courts. You're going to have the athletic, like the workout center. You'll have a big event pavilion, and they will even have the ability to pay for additional childcare. So like dropping your kids off to go work out, that's an option. I think there's a cost to that, but that's an option very similar to Walsh. And I think the amenities, from what I can tell, they're going to be somewhere in between Walsh and Morningstar, right? So you're probably not going to have, from what I can tell right now, some of the unique amenities that Walsh has, like the maker space specifically is kind of what I'm thinking about, where you have like all these tools and workshops and CNC machines and 3D printers, all that stuff. But it's going to be more than Morningstar. So I would say that it appears the amenities are going to be most equivalent to Walsh when they're built out. As of right now, they have not been built, so things could change. There's also going to be an 8-acre park, which that's pretty cool. While Walsh and Morningstar have lots of parks and lots of green space, I don't think any of them have a park that is that large. So that's going to be off or along Bear Creek. It's going to have a bunch of trails and green space, stuff like that. And then there are some additional perks that are also Walsh-like. So you're going to have front lawn maintenance included across the entire Kelly Ranch neighborhoods. And then you're also going to have internet included. And so they're calling theirs multi-gig internet, which means you get up to, like, their infrastructure provides up to 10 gigs. I don't really understand if they're just branding that different, because Walsh, the internet speed that is included is 2 gig internet speed, I believe. But a true fiber line has the ability to go to 10 gigs. So it's not really oftentimes the infrastructure that's laid that is the issue if it's truly fiber. The issue is whether or not you are getting it or what you're paying for. So 1 and 2 gig internet speeds are pretty standard nowadays, like for cost expenses, but going 5 to 10 gigs is typically very expensive. So I highly doubt 10 gigs is going to be included in like a 10 gig speed is included in your dues, but maybe you can pay for that additionally, right? And honestly, nobody who does normal things from home needs 10 gigs. 99.99% of the population, 1 gig is way more than they actually need anyways. But for some unique things, if you're trying to do them from home, maybe it would necessitate you having higher internet speed than that. So those are the amenities. This is 2025. When they're built out, I'm sure I will do an update and really give a highlight and overview, maybe include some videos. We currently don't have any of that. We're so early in the build process, none of it's built yet. So that is the game plan right now as of 2025. Okay, let's talk about the builders that you should be expecting to see if you are looking for a home in Kelly Ranch. And it does look like builders will somewhat be segmented by neighborhood, and that is primarily because of the price points they build in. So we've already kind of talked about general price points to expect. So what builders are we looking at? So in Sierra Vista, currently, it looks like there's going to be 2 builders right there available, and that's going to be KB Homes, who already have homes built and are offering homes. And then this one's a little bit different. It does look like Century Communities is supposed to be building in there. I have not seen a completed home from them yet, and I'm not even sure they have a model. So I'm a little bit confused on that one. I can find Century Communities says that they are going to be built there, and I can see that they should be building there, but I don't see anything there yet. So maybe they're waiting for a little bit momentum to be built up. Who knows? And then we get to Rio Vista. That's where we're gonna have a larger selection of builders to select from. So you have Brightland Homes, Pivot Homes, Stonefield Homes, which I think are all a little bit more in the same category with each other. And then you even have M the Builder, which is a little bit surprising to me because they oftentimes are building $1 million+ homes. And so I initially would have thought they would primarily maybe build in the La Dorada section, but they are building some homes in Rio Vista. Now, they are $1 million homes basically, so, right? So they're gonna be on the higher end of the Rio Vista neighborhood, but those are gonna be the 4 really the builders you can pick from right there. And the builders could change at any time. Sometimes you'll get a builder who buys some lots, build them, and they realize their product doesn't sell very well in a specific neighborhood. Then they finish and they're done. And then maybe they sold their lots to a different builder. So that can happen. So all of this info I'm sharing right now is subject to change in the future. And then you've got the La Dorada. That's going to be the custom home sites. Maybe they're calling them the estate sites. And you can bring any custom builder. They will sell individual lots. And these lots are going to be, a little bit bigger, like I mentioned. So that's something to think about. There might be, like M the Builder, who buy lots and build spec homes, or buy lots and let you build with them and kind of build on the lot through that builder in the La Dorada section. But there's not a predetermined builders who own all of the lots that you will have to work with in that La Dorada section. You could bring your own builder as long as you followed the construction guidelines. So if that's something you're considering, right? You want new construction, you want to know more about the builders, I am building out a full builder resource page on my website, and not just for Kelly Ranch. It'll be the top 20 or 30 builders in the Aledo area so that you can easily click back and forth and kind of compare them without having to try to figure out how to compare different builders based on what they're saying on their own websites. So go check out my website. That is something that is currently being built out. So if you get there too soon and it's not there yet, shoot me a message. Happy to provide as much content as I have that my website builder is working with, and I can give that to you individually. So if you're looking at information for builders, go to my website. If you don't see it there, I'm happy to give it to you. Just reach out, shoot me a text, call, give me an email, and would love to make sure you have all the information you need to make a great decision on which builder you build with. And not just the Aledo area as a whole, yeah, happy to do that, but specifically in Kelly Ranch, would love to assist in that. Okay, well, let's jump into the schools real quick. And obviously, because I've included it on the channel, we do know that Kelly Ranch is going to be in Aledo ISD. But let's dive into some more detail, and maybe I'll give you an update on some stuff I commented on previously and some more information that I have, which has confirmed some of my prior, might say suspicions, but that's like a negative word, but my future thoughts and where I was right, and then where I was, maybe I'm not certain I'm right yet. So currently Kelly Ranch is going to feed into Vandergrift Elementary, which is the elementary school just south of downtown Aledo, which is the elementary school that has a really big, wide, huge attendance radius because of population densities. Then you'd feed into Aledo Middle School, and then you'd feed into the 9th grade campus in the high school, which is how it's all set up. What I speculated on in prior videos was that with the future elementary schools that would be added, it would make the most sense for an elementary school to go somewhere in the south of the Vandergrift attendance zone, probably to scoop in. I don't think I maybe specifically mentioned Kelly Ranch about that, but that would make the most sense. I did say something should go on that south side somewhere. And when I was speaking to some of the Kelly Ranch representatives recently, they did confirm that Kelly Ranch actually donated, I believe it was 12 acres to Aledo ISD near Kelly Ranch and Bear Creek Road, I believe is what they said. So that was donated for a future school property. The Kelly Ranch, people mentioned an elementary school. What I was able to find online is it actually doesn't necessarily, it's not like already predetermined what it would be. It's not like set in stone. But honestly, it would make way more sense for this to be an elementary school than anything else. So that's something to think about. While you don't have an elementary school right next to you yet, it is very likely you would end up with an elementary school that probably primarily was utilized by the Kelly Ranch neighborhood, kind of like McKinney Elementary is primarily Morningstar and Walsh Elementary is primarily Walsh. So probably going to have that. Not set in stone yet, but currently you do not have that. You would be driving to Vandergrift, which is not a terrible drive. It's just up Kelly Road to 1187 and you hit that. You don't even have to go through downtown. The other thing to think about is that, we're in 2025 right now. Based on the demographic reports and studies, it looks like by 2030-ish, plus or minus, we'll probably need a new high school. Maybe they can push that out with some sort of additional specialty campuses, whatnot, to relieve some of the high school and 9th grade campus stuff. Maybe, maybe not. What will likely happen when a new high school goes into play? It will most likely be up near the Walsh area. So maybe that's good and bad, right? On one hand, you don't have to worry about when a new school is introduced, a new high school, your kid being rezoned out of the current Aledo High School into something else. That's something to note, right? When a new high school is introduced, which will probably be at least 5 years from now, it will not be anywhere near you. So you will be unaffected, but you also won't get the brand new school. And then if at some point a third high school is needed, I would expect it to go on the southern end of Aledo ISD to service probably Kelly Ranch at that point, a lot of the other neighborhoods that have been built out that were, less dense. So maybe have a larger area that it's pulling from. So that's where we're at on the schools currently. Vandergrift Elementary, Aledo Middle, 9th grade campus, Aledo High School. Currently, that's how it's set up. Eventually, you will probably have a different elementary school, but whether it's an elementary or middle school is not set in stone yet, but elementary school makes the most sense. Okay, now who are the competitors to Kelly Ranch? And you've been watching this video, I've mentioned them and you've seen other videos, right? But I would say that Kelly Ranch does not have a singular competitor. It's going to have a variety of different competitors based on the buyer demographic, which we'll talk about the ideal buyer in a second, if that's you or not, right? So I think that at the lower end price points, that Sierra Vista section is going to be probably their biggest competitor is going to be Morningstar. I think that Rio Vista, the more mid-tier end of Kelly Ranch, probably their biggest competitor is going to be Walsh Ranch, right? They're going to have their own pros and cons. They're going to have, I'll probably do some comparison videos. They're going to have different amenity styles. But I think that if you had to boil it down to biggest competitors for Sierra Vista is going to be Morningstar, or potentially, I think the reserves, right? In Willow Park. Probably not a very good competitor, but maybe you'd put that category in there. There's some other maybe similar neighborhoods and price point, but not new construction. So those two are going to be the Sierra Vista competitors. You're probably looking at Walsh as the biggest competitor for amenities, style, neighborhood feel, and all that stuff for the Rio Vista. And then I think where you get the most broad competition is going to be in the La Dorada. And because the Aledo area has a lot of neighborhoods where you can buy homes over $1 million, right? Most of them are going to be, if you want new construction, they're all going to be 2 acres or more pretty much. So you've got like Summerlin Meadows, you got Prairie Hill, you got the Grasslands, you've got all of these other communities where you're looking at homes, maybe very, very low end, 800-900, but mostly, you know, $1.1 million, $1.2 million, up to $1.5 million, $1.6 million. But these other neighborhoods are, for the most part, very small, no amenities. Maybe there's some that are gated, like Summit Ranch, which might be a little on the higher end of what La Dorada is going to be. So the amenities aren't there. So if you want amenities, then there's not much competition, right? Then you've got some of the higher end homes in Walsh, but you're on, you know, small or smaller parcels than what you will be on in kind of these estate lots in La Dorada. So I think that the competitors are going to be more varied across that upper level spectrum, but I don't know if the buyer is going to view them as competitive, right? It's almost like it may not be the same buyer. I have clients who will come in, and sometimes specifically what they're saying is, I don't want to be on city utilities. I want my own private well. And if that's the case, even though you're on an acre in La Dorada, but that's not you, that's not for them. And then I have clients who, like, they want to be on city water because they don't want the potential headache, the potential cost or liabilities of being on a private well. And so you got people who are really hardline on either end of the spectrum. So those buyers really aren't comparable. Then you got people who maybe just have a preference, but maybe the HOA, the benefits and stuff are a big pro to them, maybe not. So biggest competitors, I think, are going to be, you know, Morningstar currently, Walsh, and then some of the other new construction neighborhoods in the Aledo area that would compete against La Dorada, but there's no really direct competitors to what La Dorada is offering. Maybe the higher end section of Walsh you could throw in there. Those lots are closer to like 0.3 to 0.4 acres. So that's who I would say are going to be the biggest competitive neighborhoods. So if you haven't checked them out, go check those out and let me know which neighborhood you prefer over the ones you're looking at. Okay, so who is Kelly Ranch the best fit for? And as you have heard in this video so far, Kelly Ranch is not just one neighborhood, right? So I think that Kelly Ranch is going to fill a couple of uniquely different buyer profile demands, right? So you've got Sierra Vista on the lower price point end, and I think that's most uniquely going to fit a specific buyer that otherwise might be a Morningstar buyer, but doesn't particularly like what Morningstar is currently offering in the new construction arena, right? Specifically, if you want new construction and you want that entry or lower level price point, and you want the amenities beyond just, you know, maybe a neighborhood pool, that's who I think is going to fit. So younger families, people from out of the area that aren't totally certain where they want to end up and maybe want to buy at the lower price point to begin with, people who want really that neighborhood and community vibe, I think that's who's going to probably fit in that Sierra Vista, right? So that's what I would most likely plug as the counter to maybe Morningstar. And then you've got Rio Vista, right? So that's going to be someone who otherwise might like Walsh, right? So there's going to be kind of this dichotomy of like, well, maybe they were a Walsh buyer, maybe Walsh is a tad bit expensive for them, or maybe they like the idea of Walsh, but they really like the idea of a gated community, right? And there's just not a ton of new construction gated communities that are not over $1 million, right? So that's going to be that family that values some additional security, that additional protection, and also wants all these amenities, right? So the Rio Vista section is really going to hit kind of a lot of these major pluses for people. Lots of great amenities, nice homes, good builders, gated, right? So I think that's going to fit that for it. Then you've got La Dorada. And I think that that is going to be that, again, that more luxury, obviously because of price point, but the individuals who, they want that price point, but they also want a community and they like the gated aspect of it. So that's going to be kind of that unique thing. A lot of the higher end price points in the little area are not in neighborhoods, right? And now that is a draw. A lot of people coming to Aledo want an acre or two, but not everybody. So I think that's going to be, and really some of the lots, yes, it's gonna be half acre to an acre or more, but they're gonna have municipal utilities, right? So not everyone wants to be on 2 acres, well and septic and all this stuff. So I think that there is gonna be that unique higher end, more luxury type buyer who wants to be in a community with lots of amenities and gated. And Walsh doesn't hit all of those marks, right? Walsh has a ton to offer, but there's going to be a slightly different buyer preference. Now, all of these buyers are going to have to be okay with the fact that it's way down south, but I do think that those people that I've mentioned, those plugging in those different buyer profiles, are going to be the people that are going to best and most enjoy Kelly Ranch. So that's a wrap for everything you need to know about Kelly Ranch. We covered a ton of information and we didn't cover everything we possibly could. So hit that subscribe button if you want more information about Kelly Ranch specifically. I will be having a pro and con video on Kelly Ranch coming out soon. And if you want information about Bluejack, Walsh, Maverick, and everything else, check out the channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you are planning that trip to the Aledo area, reach out to me, call, text, email, whatever works for you. Let's get some time where we can talk, make sure that you have a focused goal so you can make the most of your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.